Hello, my name is Heather, and I worked in Las Vegas for 5 years as a dealer, and I am here to teach you how to play Blackjack. Blackjack is played with a normal deck of cards. There are 52 cards total. There are 4 suits, diamonds, clubs, hearts, and spades. Each suit has 13 cards. The cards are valued as follows. Picture cards, such as the king and queen, are all 10 value. Aces are either 1 or 11, and all other cards are face value. There are different types of blackjack games. The most common one is the shoe game. The shoe game is how I am going to teach you. Later on, I will discuss the difference between single and double deck in greater detail. The shoe is a device that sits on the dealer's left-hand side that the dealer draws a card from. This device usually holds 6 to 8 decks of cards. Another term you will hear me say is checks. Checks is used when describing a game chip that has monetary value inscribed on it with the casino's logo, and it is used on a live game. A check is the currency in that casino where it was issued. It can be turned into cash at any time at the cashier's cage. Beginning. Walk up to the table that you wish to play at and the dealer will greet you. Hand over the amount of money you want to spend and the dealer will change it for checks. Always place the money on the table because the dealers are not allowed to take the money from your hands. Somewhere on the table there will be a sign stating the table minimum and maximum. The bet you place needs to be in between those amounts. Now, after you decide how much money you want to spend on one hand, put the bet down in the betting circle and start playing. Once the first card comes out, you are not allowed to touch or alter your bet. The dealer will give you 2 cards per bet. The dealer will get 1 card face up and 1 card face down. The object of the game is for you to get closer to 21 than the dealer without going over. Each hand is considered separately. You are only playing against yourself and the dealer. You are not playing against the other players. If the dealer or player goes over 21, this is called busting, and it is an automatic loss for that person. Also, because the ace can be either 1 or 11, this creates a soft hand. For example, if the player's first 2 cards are an ace and a 4, then the player has a soft 15, meaning the hand can be either 5 or 15. The opposite of a soft hand is a hard hand. A hard hand means that if you hit and receive a 10, you will bust. For example, if your first 2 cards are a 10 and a 2, that means you have a hard 12. If the player has a hand with an ace in it, then the value of the cards will always total the amount that favors the player. For example, if the player has a king and a 4, and he hits and receives an ace, the total will automatically become 15, because the other option is 25 and that would be a bust hand. Player's turn. It is your turn after the person on the right is finished with their hand. If there is no one on your right, then that means it is your turn. At this point, you have several options that you can choose from. Staying. If your first 2 cards equal 17 through 21, then you want to stay. Staying means that you don't want another card. You want to do nothing. Then the turn will go to the next player. To stay, you need to give a hand signal indicating to the cameras what your decision is. You will hold out your hand, palm facing down and flat, and then slightly shake the hand back and forth. As a beginner, it is good to say stay when you do this action. Hitting. If your first 2 cards equal 2 through 16, then you might decide to hit. This means that you add 1 card to your hand, adding to the total. You are allowed to keep hitting until you reach 18 through 21 or until you bust. To signal that you want to hit, you will use your forefinger and middle finger to scratch the table towards yourself. Another way to signal a hit is to tap on the table with your first 2 fingers. As a beginner, it is good to say hit when you want to do this action. Doubling down. If your first 2 cards equal a 9, 10, or 11, then you may choose to double down. A double down is an optional bet of an equal or lesser amount. You will only receive 1 card. When the dealer gets to you, hold up only your forefinger, showing the dealer you want 1 card. As a beginner, it is a good idea to say that you want a double down, as well as give the signal. You will receive your card, and if you win, you will get paid for both of your bets. But that also means that if you lose, you will lose both of your bets. If you decide to double down for less than your original bet, then this is considered an odd move. So expect the dealer to call it out or notify their floor. This is not a bad thing, they are required to do it. If you decide to double down on a 12 or higher, then this is also considered an odd move. The dealer is required to notify the floor. They will allow you to complete this action, but you can bet they will be watching you very closely after that. Why? Because the only people who double down on a hard 12 or higher are either completely wasted or they are cheating. Splitting. If your first two cards are the same face value, then you may choose to split. Unlike doubling down, you must play an equal amount to your original bet. You cannot play less. You will then give the appropriate hand signal to the dealer and the cameras. The hand signal for splitting is to hold your hand in a fist and extend your forefinger and middle finger into a V shape. As a beginner, you may want to say split along with the hand signal. Your hand will then be split into two separate hands. After you have split your hand, you can hit, double down, or split again, but you can only play one hand at a time. To split again, you must receive another card of the same face value. Most cards can be split up to 3 times, which will give you 4 hands total. When splitting aces, you will usually receive only 1 card. Everything depends on what casino you're in. Every casino is different. At some casinos, you may be able to double down after you split. If so, follow the same double down procedure as the shoe. A common mistake that players make is when they want to split, they want to separate the cards themselves, and the casino doesn't allow players to touch the cards on a shoe game. Another common mistake is when the player splits aces and gets a 10 on the first hit card. This is not a blackjack. It is seen as a 21. A blackjack only occurs on your original first 2 cards. Surrender. On your first 2 cards, you can choose to surrender your hand. This means that you take an automatic loss on the hand, but instead of losing the entire bet, you only lose half of your bet. Why would you do this? Some players would surrender if they have a hard 16 and the dealer has a 10 up card. If the player feels like he is going to lose the hand, then he may feel that losing only half of his bet is better than losing all of it. When you want to surrender, you will make a hand signal when it is your turn. The most common signal for this is to draw a line behind your bet with your forefinger. As a beginner, it is a good idea to say that you want to surrender as you make this hand movement. If the dealer has a blackjack, then you cannot surrender. You also cannot surrender if you have already hit your hand. Surrender can only happen on your first 2 cards. This depends on the game. On Super Fun 21, you can surrender at any time. Surrender is only available in some casinos and on some games, so it is a good idea to ask if it is available at your table. Tips. Whenever you want to give your decision to the dealer, it must be done with hand signals. The reason why is because the hand signal is not for the dealer, but for the cameras. The cameras cannot hear what is said on the table, so if there is ever a dispute, they determine your decision by what hand signal you gave. That is why the dealer will always tell you to give a clear and precise hand signal. When you give your hand signal, it is good to do it behind or besides the bet. Never give the hand signal over your cards, in front of your cards, or over your bet. By doing this, you will make the dealer or the floorman think you are trying to cheat. Remember, every casino is different, so if the dealer tells you to do an action a certain way, you must follow what they say. The Blackjack Strategy Card. There is a Blackjack Strategy Card that is available in most casino gift shops. You will usually hear people refer to this card as the book. This plastic card is a guide, especially for newbies, on how to play blackjack. You are allowed to use this strategy card at the table. In Las Vegas, the casino encourages it. To use, on the left-hand side is your hand. For sections 1 and 2, add up your cards to get the total. Go to section 3 if you have an ace in your hand, or section 4 if you have a pair. On the top is the dealer's up card. Match your cards and the dealer's up card to come up with the action that you need to take. For example, if your first 2 cards are a 5 and an 8, then you have a total hand of 13. Look for 13 on the left-hand side, and then look to see what the dealer's up card is. The dealer has an 8, so we look for an 8 at the top of the chart. Match the 2 up to see that you should take a hit. The dealer's turn and beyond. After all of the players have made their decisions, it is the dealer's turn. The dealer will always go last, and they will always follow the same set of rules. The dealer must hit on 16 and lower. The dealer must stay on 17 through 21, and if the dealer goes over 21, they bust and you win. Depending on what casino you're at, some dealers will have to hit a soft 17. When the dealer is done with his turn, he will go and compare your hand with his hand. Whoever is closer to 21 wins the hand. If the dealer wins, then the dealer will take your bet. If you win, then the dealer will pay your bet 1-to-1. If the hands are the same, then this is considered a push and the money will stay where it is. Usually, the dealer will pat the table to indicate a push. If you are betting with multiple denominations or a multicolor bet, then when the bet is paid, the dealer will break down the bet and it is your responsibility to properly stack up the checks. To do so, always make sure that the larger denomination is on bottom. For example, if you wanted to bet $73, then you would put your 2 green chips on the bottom, the 4 red chips in the middle, and the 3 white chips on top. Blackjack. If your first 2 cards are of a 10 value and an ace, then this is considered a blackjack, and a blackjack cannot lose. Blackjacks get paid automatically, plus you will receive a bonus. The blackjack payoff is 3-2, which means you will get paid 1.5 times your bet. For example, if you have a $10 bet and receive a blackjack, then you will win $15. If you and the dealer both get a blackjack, then the hand is a push. If the dealer gets a blackjack and you have any other hand, then this is an automatic loss. Insurance. When the dealer has an ace up, they will ask for insurance while running their hand alongside the insurance line. Insurance is a side bet, which is a voluntary bet that you can make if you think the dealer has a blackjack. You may only bet half of your original bet. Any extra should be given back to you by the dealer. The insurance bet pays 2-1. If the dealer has a blackjack, then you keep your insurance bet plus your original bet. If the dealer does not have a blackjack, then you lose your insurance bet. If you have a blackjack and the dealer asks for insurance and you want to take it because you believe the dealer has a blackjack, then instead of taking insurance, you should ask for even money. This is the same as if you took the insurance. The bonus you get for blackjack goes to pay for the insurance while you get paid even money. People do this because it is a sure payoff. If the player has a blackjack and doesn't take even money or insurance, and the dealer also gets a blackjack, then the 2 hands would push. Intermediate. Single deck and double deck. You just learned how to play blackjack on a shoe game. Now it's time to teach you about the other blackjack variations. When you walk through a casino, you will see more varieties of blackjack than you thought existed. The single deck and the double deck are the most common versions. There are also Super Fun 21, Blackjack Switch, Spanish 21, Double Exposure Blackjack, Lucky Ladies, Royal Match, and much more. On all types of blackjack games, the player is still expected to make hand gestures to indicate what they want. On a single or double deck, the hand gestures are staying. When you want to stay, tuck the corner of your cards under the bet. Don't touch your cards or bet again until after the hand. Hitting. With the cards in your hands, scratch the table towards yourself. Scratch the layout behind or beside your bet, but never scratch your cards in front of your bet. Doubling down. Put an equal or lesser bet next to the original bet and flip the cards face up. Hold your hand in a fist and extend the forefinger, showing you want only one card. The dealer will give you a card face down. You can wait until the end of the hand to see, or you could peek at the card and know as soon as you get it. It is table etiquette to leave the card facing down once you look at it. Splitting. Put an equal amount next to your original bet and flip the cards face up. Hold up your fist with the forefinger and middle finger making a V shape. The dealer will split the cards for you. Use the normal shoe hand gestures to continue playing your hand. Depending on the casino, you may or may not be allowed to double down after a split. A blackjack or a bust. As soon as you bust or get a blackjack, flip your cards over so the dealer can see them. If you make 21 with your cards, this is not a blackjack. Do not flip your cards over expecting an immediate payoff. Please, tuck your cards under your bet and be happy you have a 21. Here are some differences you will experience between a shoe game and a single deck or a double deck. On a shoe game, the cards will be dealt to you face up and you are not allowed to touch them. On a single or double deck, the cards will be tossed to you face down. You are allowed to pick up the cards, but you can only use one hand. On a single deck game, blackjack only pays 6-5, whereas on a shoe game, blackjack pays 3-2. This means, on a single deck, for every $5 bet, you will get paid $6, instead of $7.50, which is what you would get paid on the shoe. Situations. Here are a few situations that you might find yourself in. When you hand the dealer money, make sure that the money is not in or anywhere near the betting circles. There have been many times a dealer has mistaken that gesture as a bet and they will start dealing. And once the cards are out, you can't change your bet. So if you don't want to lose the entire $100 you brought with you on one hand, then make sure that the money is above the betting circle. When a dealer is done shuffling, they might offer you the cut card. A cut card is the small, solid colored card that the dealer will hand you. Take the card and stick it somewhere in the middle of the deck that the dealer is holding in front of you. This is called cutting the deck. Warning, you can't imagine what people do with the cut card, and it is never washed. So please, don't kiss it, rub it on your face, rub it under your shirt, or on any other body part. After you are done playing and you want to leave the table, it is good to color up. This means that you give the dealer the stacks of checks that you have in front of you for fewer but larger denomination checks. When you want to exchange those checks for cash, then go to the cage. There is no contact allowed between you and the dealer. The dealer should never touch a player, and a player should never touch a dealer. If you find you have checks from a different casino, then you can ask the dealer if they can exchange your foreign checks for usable checks. Sometimes they can do it, and sometimes they can't. If they can't, the next best thing you can do is go to the cage and ask them if they can give you cash for your foreign checks. If the cage cannot, then you must go back to that casino to get cash for those checks. You are not allowed to use your cell phone on or near the table. People regularly use their cell phones when they cheat, so the dealer will always tell you to get off the phone or get off the table. There are also certain items you can and cannot place on the table. At the casino I worked at, the dealers would have a saying, if you can't drink it, smoke it, or gamble it, then it can't be on the table. When entering a new table, it is considered polite to wait until the deck has been shuffled. The reason why is because when a new player enters the game, the order of the cards are going to change, and this could sometimes change the game, making a good shoe turn bad with the addition or subtraction of players. That is why it is good to ask if anyone would mind if you entered the game mid-deck. Tipping. Casino dealers live on minimum wage and tips. That is why it is always good to tip your dealer. There are two different ways of doing this. The first way is by giving the dealer their tip. You can do this by either giving them cash or checks. Just push it towards the middle of the table and tell the dealer this is a tip. The second way you can tip the dealer is by betting their tip with your bet. Take the amount of checks that you want to tip and place it in front of the betting circle. If you win, then the dealer wins, but if you lose, the dealer loses too. Nowadays, the dealers don't keep their own tips. The tips are collected in a 24-hour period and then split equally among all the dealers based on the number of hours they worked. Things I've noticed working as a dealer. Anytime you are in a casino, keep your eyes on the floor, especially under the tables, because drunk people drop chips and they don't realize it, so you can find anywhere from $1 to $100. Usually, it will only be a $5 check, but one time I found a $5,000 check under the table. If you are on a winning streak, then just gamble with that dealer. If a dealer is giving away money, they will usually continue for the rest of their shift. If you are losing, don't keep pulling out more money because you think your luck is going to change. You'll just lose a large sum of money and be extremely mad. Instead, take a break, go somewhere else, or try another game. Thank you for watching this video. And remember, gambling is a form of entertainment, not a way to pay bills.